We're embarking on a little road trip across northern Kyushu, and I'm taking you along, but first, we have to rent our car. And if you're also planning to rent a car in Japan, sit tight because this video is for you. The first thing we did before even heading to Japan was researching which car rental companies were reliable, and we ultimately decided to go with Toyota Rent-A-Car because it had a lot more branches across the area we were road tripping, and most importantly, an easy to navigate website where we can easily reserve a car up to 3 weeks in advance. You also have the option to choose the specific type of car you like to drive, including GR86 if you're up for it. We went with a C2 class hybrid, which was the best decision ever. More about why later. After confirming our booking, it was time to get our international driving permit. If you're in the US, you can easily get these at AAA for $20. I also recommend using this time to familiarize yourself with Japan's traffic laws and signages. While they're not so different from the US, you are renting a car in a foreign country, and especially if you're not familiar with the language, being aware ahead of time on things like speed limits, highway rules, and even basic signages will help make your time on the road a lot smoother. I'll leave some basics on the screen right now if you want to screenshot or save this video. Alright, now for the exciting part. Upon arrival, the check-in process at the office is super seamless. You grab a ticket, provide your reservation number, passport, driving permit, and credit card. They'll walk you through a few key instructions and regulations like speed limits, which gas to get, etc. You'll get all of this information in a handy little folder, so don't worry if you're overwhelmed and afraid you might forget a thing or two. The whole process is super efficient, and within 10 minutes or less, you're all checked in and ready to pick up your car. During this process, they will also confirm with you whether you need something called an ETC card. This is essentially the electronic toll card where you can go through tolls without the hassle of trying to figure out how much toll you have to pay at the gate. It is an extra 330 yen per day to rent one, but if you're planning to travel super long distances like us, I highly recommend getting it because it will save you a ton of time and potential headaches. All you need to do when driving through tolls is taking the ETC lane, and you will remit all toll payments when you return the car. Alright, it's time to get the car. When your car pulls up in the lot, the attendant will call your name and request for you to check the car. This is your opportunity to examine the car for any defects, and it's super important to point out even the most minor chips to the attendant so that you won't be liable for any pre-existing damages. I recommend also taking a video of the car like I'm doing here and making sure that the gas tank is full before signing off. The attendant will also help you set your navigation system to your preferred language, usually Japanese, English, or Chinese, but we were pretty lucky that the car supports Apple CarPlay, so we didn't have to rely on the car's built-in navigation system. But even if we did, it was nice to know that the navigation system supports English. And that's pretty much it. We were clear to head out in our car for the next 5 days. Now, as mentioned before, we did get the C2 class awkward hybrid, and it's honestly a small but mighty car. It looks small on the outside, but it's actually quite spacious, and most importantly, out of the 5 days we had the car and consistently driving multiple hours per day, we only had to fill up the gas once, and it was only because we had to fill it up to return the car. We still had a quarter tank left after the 5 days. To give you guys a little quick comparison, we did rent a Yaris later on for a day trip and only had half a tank left by the end of the day, so definitely get a hybrid if you can for longer trips. Since we're on the topic of gas, a lot of gas stations in Japan are full service, but there are also plenty of self-service options as well. So if you don't want to interact with anyone while getting gas, look for the signage. Otherwise, it's pretty straightforward since chances are you want a full tank when going to get gas anyways, so a simple regular manten onegaishimasu will suffice. Regular is the regular gas you want, and manten means to fill up in full. You will then provide your payment method, we paid by credit card, and they fill it up, ask us for your signature, and give you your receipt, and you're good to go. If there were anything we were most worried about before renting a car in Japan, it was the parking situation. Luckily, we were traveling around northern Kyushu where most people drive to get around, so most places have plenty of on-site parking, and even in more populated places where we would need to park at designated parking lots, a quick Google Maps search will usually show you where they are with info like amount of parking spots available and their rates. From our experience, parking rates here are super reasonable. Most parking lots only charge a maximum rate of about 700 yen to 1600 yen, even for overnight parking, which is mind-blowing to us coming from New York. It's so affordable. The only tricky thing is paying for parking. Depending on the parking lot, some may have an honor system where it's flat rate no matter how long you park and you pay as you exit, or a ticketing/numbering system where you can get your ticket, or the parking lot has built-in tags to scan your place as you enter and you pay as you exit. Personally, my least favorite one would be the parking lots with the locking mechanisms because I'm always afraid we would accidentally get locked in or damage the car because we weren't far back enough. FYI, not sure if it's a Kyushu thing, but it's kind of like an unspoken rule here to park butt in. Anyways, luckily we only had to use those parking lots once, and there's plenty of time for you to fix your parking, I think you have about 3 minutes from the moment you go over the locking mechanism and after you pay, so make sure you have everything settled and ready to go in the car before you pay so you can head out right away. Now, if there's anything else I can share with you all about our car renting experience, is choosing the right insurance. There's several options to choose when booking the car, and we did play it safe and opted for the full coverage option in case anything does happen, and I highly recommend doing so because roads in Japan are a lot more narrow, especially in more rural areas. You're bound to run into instances where you'll have to hit the curb to let opposite traffic pass, and vice versa. In fact, we did end up scruffing the rims of the car since they were made of plastic, but luckily it was covered under the insurance, so we didn't have to pay anything additional. But on that note, even though the idea of renting a car in a foreign country may seem daunting, it's honestly not that bad, especially if you're used to driving in big cities like New York or LA. Japan will feel much more comfortable because everyone follows the rules here. Unless you're in the street racing scene, that's a totally different story. Anyways, to close out this video, if you're renting a car in Japan, specifically in Kyushu, I highly encourage you to snap a pic of your license plate because chances are you'll run into a lot of the same car models and color that you're driving, especially in more touristy areas, and I would hate to be the one that loses their car in a foreign country. Hope this video was helpful. I can't wait to share the rest of my trip with you all, so be sure to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching!